Welcome back, guys. Today I'm going to show some hip mobilization techniques with a resistance band. Now, you can get a resistance band at almost any good sporting goods store, or I'll put a link in the description box below. Now, if you're going to go through surgery, these hip mobilization techniques are definitely going to help you pre-surgery and post-surgery. It's going to help you heal faster and better. Now, post-surgery is going to reduce the scar tissue and tightness in the hip that can cause low back pain and pain in the hips as you recover. Now, if you're like me and you do a lot of driving or sitting, these hip mobilization techniques are definitely going to help you with low back pain, because if the hip flexors do get tight or the hip capsule does get tight, a lot of compensation patterns may occur and cause pain in the lower back. Now, if you're an athlete and you do a lot of running, kicking, or weightlifting like myself, loosening these hips up are going to help you have better range of motion and prevent you from injuries in the future. And I hope you do these exercises, these stretches, and find the benefits of them.
Supine hip flexion mobilization. This is probably one of the best mobilization techniques that you can start off with, as you are laying on the floor and you're in a relaxed position. First, anchor the resistance band to something. Here, I'm using a pole. Put your leg through the loop and place it on the upper portion of your hip. Make sure you're in a position where you have some tension in the resistance band, and pull your knee towards your chest. This will create a stretch in the buttock and the lower back, and also mobilize the hip. The femoral head is constantly pulled by the hip flexor, mainly the psoas, which pulls the femoral head up and towards the front of the body. This mobilization technique will promote the femoral head be pushed back into the socket and promote hip flexion for further range of motion. It will reduce stiffness and tightness and lower back pain as well. Once you find a position where there is a bit of a stretch, mobilize your hip in that position and hold it for about 30 to 60 seconds. Then try to find another position that creates a bit of a stretch and hold that for 30 to 60 seconds. Return to previous positions 4 to 5 times. Supine hip external rotation mobilization. This will help open up the hip in external rotation. When external rotation is restricted, your glute muscles won't be able to fire properly, and that's a major lifting muscle. So therefore, you may compensate with your lower back muscles and hurt yourself. So it's very important to mobilize your hip in external rotation. If you do lack external rotation in hips, especially in lifting, your knees may cave in and other mechanisms may take over, for example the lower back muscles. And this puts the lumbar spine at risk for injury. So similar to the previous mobilization technique, just place the rubber band on top of the thigh, turn your knee out and then place the stretching ankle on the other knee. Then pull the stretching leg towards your chest. This also stretches the piriformis muscle, which is the main muscle that can cause sciatic symptoms. So it's also beneficial to prevent you from sciatica as well. Once you are ready, experiment pulling your legs in different directions, finding another stretching point and hold that for 30 to 60 seconds. Remember to return to other stretching points and hold that for 4 to 5 sets. This will ensure mobilization in all ranges of motions in the hip. This is a classic hip flexor stretch. Go into a lunging position where your knees are square. Try to stay upright and squeeze your glutes and then lean forward. You should feel the stretch in the front of the thigh on the back leg. The resistance band will add a little bit of pressure in the front of the hips, which will make you switch on your glutes and concentrate on the hip flexor stretch. This will mobilize the hip joint and loosen up the hip flexors that may cause hip pain and hip impingement. Hold this stretch for about 30 to 60 seconds and do it 4 to 5 sets. And remember to do it on both legs. The hip flexors can cause distal cross syndrome, which is a compensation pattern where the lower back will get tight and the hamstring muscles can get tight as well. Not only this exercise will loosen up your hip flexors, it's also an isometric exercise to teach your body to switch on the glute muscles and activate better, especially with loosened hip flexors. The pigeon stretch with the resistance band. Place the front leg in front of you and collapse onto the knee, pointing the knee away from your body. Make sure there is tension in the resistance band, pulling the hip away from the body. Now lean forward with your body and accentuate the stretch. This will create the stretch in the piriformis and other posterior thigh muscles that restrict hip mobility. Once again, find a position where there is a stretch by leaning in different angles and hold that position for about 30 to 60 seconds and do this 4 to 5 times in each position. Remember to do this on both legs. The resistance band will help create external rotation and mobilize the hip joint, which will increase range of motion and decrease stiffness and tightness in the hip. Standing hip flexor mobilizations. This is a great alternative to mobilize the hip joint if you have trouble stretching on the floor. First, anchor the resistance band on your supporting leg. Just step on a greater portion of the resistance band and once again loop it around your stretching hip. Place the stretching leg on the elevated surface and then pull the knee towards your body. This will create a stretch in your glutes and the tight muscles that stop your thigh from going to hip flexion. The resistance band will pull the femur head downwards and towards your body, mobilizing the hip capsule and loosening the muscles for movement. Once again, find a stretching position and hold it for 30 to 60 seconds and then go to another position and repeat the process. Do this 4 to 5 times in each position and remember to mobilize both hip joints. Standing external rotation mobilization. This is similar to the hip flexion mobilization technique with a resistance band. Just place your stretching leg on its side and have your knee pointed away from your body. Now lean into the bent leg. This will create a stretch in the piriformis muscle, which is a muscle in your bum, and the muscles that restrict your hip joint from external rotation. Find different positions where you feel a stretch and hold that position for about 30 to 60 seconds and then move on to the next position. And do this 4 to 5 times in each position. Remember to do this on both hips. These mobilization techniques will help reduce stiffness, tightness in the hip joint, which will help relieve a lot of compensation patterns that may cause hip impingement, lower back pain, or stiffness.
Once again guys, thanks for watching. Now, if you do have low back pain, check out my 11 best low back stretches video, or you have tight hip flexors, check out my TFL stretches video. These videos will definitely help you prevent you from low back pain and hip pain. Remember to support my channel, hit like, hit subscribe, comment below if you have any questions, and I'll see you guys in the next one.